and go live. Let's see. Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see. Think we're good there. And I think we're good here. Okay. This is still brand new to me, so I apologize for being late. That today did not have anything to do with not being able to connect. The weirdest part about this is you can't connect until the very last minute with Instagram. YouTube, I can set it up well in advance. Instagram, it has to be the very last minute. And then you have no way, you can test it all you want. I've tested it a million times. But then when I actually go live, I can't actually tell if it's working or not working until I'm live. So I'm just going to peek back here and see. I think we are good in both places. So yes, we're just going to roll with it today. We're gonna go with it. Oh, it stopped snowing. It was snowing at my house. We got about 9 inches the other day. I am kind of feeling out of sorts today because I am over winter, even though our winter has been very mild. I get to this point in February. Thankfully, my husband's birthday is next week, which gives me something to be excited about and look forward to. But end of February is not my favorite time of year in general, from a weather standpoint. So that's okay. I can see a little blue sky out my window, so that's good. I have some good questions today. So thank you for being here, whether you are here live or whether you are tuning into the replay. The replays always get, hopefully, cross fingers, always get recorded and saved on my YouTube channel under lives. They don't go with the regular videos for some reason. That's a YouTube thing. They go under the section that says live, so you'll be able to find them there. There's a whole playlist of lives, so you can find all of them. And on Instagram rather, they are always down in my feed as a reel. So I have some great questions today. Thank you very much to all of you who asked. If you have just stumbled upon this video and you are wondering what is happening, I will share. I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. I'm a style and mindset coach, and I help women learn to love getting dressed by helping them understand how their thoughts and their feelings are preventing that from happening. And I have had a YouTube channel for over 10 years, and just 10 years in August, I celebrated my 10-year YouTube anniversary, which is very exciting. And I had been doing for about 2.5 years, Instagram lives, and then decided to take a break. And now I'm back and I'm doing them both in both places, which has been a bit of a challenge. However, here we go. So I've got some good questions and I'm excited to answer these. So thank you for submitting them. Question number 1, how many clothes does someone actually need to feel put together? I actually love this question. I'm speechless. How many clothes does someone need to actually feel put together? Truly, like one outfit is kind of my answer to that. And I don't say that, I'm not trying to be flip or, sassy in any way. It's just the number of clothing, the quantity of clothing has nothing to do really with looking and feeling put together when you get dressed. And what came to mind when I very first read this question was someone like Giorgio Armani, who could really wear absolutely anything he wanted to. He was obviously, in the world of fashion and could literally design exactly what he was looking for. And yet he pretty much always wore exactly the same thing and looked chic. And my guess is that if you had asked him if he felt put together or he thought he looked put together, he would say yes. So he truly, while he had multiple options of that same, black top and jeans or black top and pants, he could have had literally one of each and worn them on repeat and laundered them and been in his towel or his pajamas in between. It's not a matter of how much clothing or how many outfits you have available. The idea of feeling put together is because, as you said it so beautifully, to actually need how much does someone actually need to feel put together? It's a feeling that, put together isn't a feeling, but the feeling that you're looking for that will make you believe that you are put together really has nothing to do with the quantity of clothing. So just as a quick little bit of coaching on this, and when you hear these questions, if they're not exactly what you're wondering, but the coaching still applies. So I want you to listen to the coaching and think, okay, well, how could that apply and how could I use that? How could that pertain to the struggles and the things that I'm dealing with in my wardrobe? So with looking put together, as you said, feeling put together. They go hand in hand. And you want to find out how you want to feel aside from put together, because put together isn't a feeling. Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel approachable? Do you want to feel like you look elegant? Do you and right now I'm going to use some adjectives in addition to feelings, because in this work we kind of can do both. But so it could be you want your outfit to look elevated, you want to look stylish, you want to look modern, current, relevant, any of those things. So in order to look that way, you have to decide, first of all, what does that look like to you? Because I can't tell you how many times I've had clients tell me they want to look put together, that that's their goal. And then in the work we do together inside Style Therapy, which is my signature program where I work one-on-one with women and have for many, many years now, a decade, they'll tell me they want to look put together. And then as we dive into that and we start to get really clear on what their definition of put together is, one client comes specifically quickly to mind. Her definition of put together included a scarf and a structured handbag. And this client didn't really like or have either of those things in her wardrobe, or the ones that she had in her wardrobe she had purchased because that was her definition of looking put together. She felt like, I need a structured handbag and I need to wear scarves if I'm going to, that kind of finishes the outfit and makes me look put together. But she didn't actually like either of those things. They were not in keeping with her authentic kind of aligned style. And so once we recognized that, it was literally like a light bulb moment, and she realized, I'm never going to look put together if that's my criteria, but I don't like wearing either of those things. So that's where I would start, is what is your definition of put together? Because put together can be 4 of the same t-shirt and 4 different pairs of, pants that you really enjoy, and you mix and match them on any given day depending on your mood and what color you want to wear. Put together does not require a lot of clothing. Put together requires a lot of some mindset work. Could be a lot. It requires the mindset work to recognize, how do you want to feel when you get dressed that would indicate you're put together? Maybe it's that you're always rushed when you are trying to put on an outfit. And so you never feel put together because you never feel like you actually took the time to put the pieces intentionally together to make an outfit look and feel like you wanted it to. So you're that just doesn't feel put together. Maybe you are, in this case where you're asking about how many clothes, maybe you don't have in your closet what you actually need, or what would be fitting and worthy of your definition of put together. If you're like this client where there's some idea of put together and that visual doesn't actually translate to how you want to look and feel when you get dressed. So you have this idea of, well, I have to wear, let's say, lace, or I have to wear blazers, but your life does not, you don't live a life where blazers or lace are the thing that you actually want to wear. So you're never going to have your brain think, yes, we've made it, we're looking put together, because blazers and lace, and I'm using these just as arbitrary examples, are not the thing that you're wearing. So I want you to really get clear on, what does put together even look like for me? And is my definition of put together in alignment with how I actually want to look and feel when I get dressed, and with the life I live? Because maybe put together is some gorgeous pencil skirt and, a beautiful sweater and a blazer or a jacket, but the life that you live is just not translating for that at all. So then it would be, okay, well, is it that I like the wool, the structure of a wool pencil skirt, but I could find some great trousers that would be similar, that might even be a knit that would mimic a wool that I could wear, that would make me feel really comfortable, and I could go about my normal day, not in something as structured as a pencil skirt or as dressed up or refined, but I could still have that same vibe, and then I would feel put together in those other pieces. There are lots of ways to come at this, but the first thing to really understand is that looking and feeling put together has nothing to do with the clothing, really, at the end of the day. It has to do with first defining what you think looking and feeling put together is, what the requirements are for that, so that then you can get dressed accordingly. So it's not about the clothes. You can have very few clothes. You can have very many clothes. It's not about the clothing, and certainly not the quantity. It's about really understanding what put together is for you, and then going about the work of getting really clear on what's in your closet that fits into that puzzle of, okay, this is, kind of fits into that definition rather of, this is looking put together for me, and these pieces do the work. And this thing like the structured handbags and the scarves and the lace and the blazers, those things, I have to change the way I'm thinking about it and retrain my brain so that it doesn't automatically default to those things need to be present in order for me to look put together. And if they don't, then I'm not, because that's thinking that isn't actually serving you. And the beautiful thing about being human, Beautiful. And sometimes difficult thing about being human is that we choose our thoughts. We can decide what we want to think. And when thoughts have been running on autopilot for a long time, it can feel very difficult and challenging to change our minds, to change our thoughts, and ultimately our outcomes. But that's where the work is. That is what I do. Yes, we do all the style stuff for sure, the editing and the outfit building and the shopping and all of that. But the most important component of the work I do privately with clients in style therapy is helping them understand how their brain has been running the show and creating the outcome they don't want, so that we can have their brain be thinking new thoughts that are not so positive and so on the other side of the spectrum that they're ridiculous. And your brain's like, that is not true. We work with your brain to introduce thoughts that are just kind of building blocks to move you across to the outcome that you want, so that it becomes more effortless. The last thing I'll say about this is, if it's a how many clothing pieces do you need to look put together question, if that's really what your brain is saying, then likely you are either not shopping and not feeling like you look put together, or possibly shopping a lot because you believe that more clothing will lead to a more put together look and a more put together style. But I promise that's not what it's about. So if you have other questions, feel free to drop them in either place, YouTube or Instagram, and I will be happy to dig in a little further with you. Thank you for that question. Okay, I am going to have a sip of tea and then go on to the next one. Okay, what do you do if you have no idea what looks good on you, or if what you like doesn't look good on you? This is a huge problem for me because I get next to no feedback from anyone. I could pin all day, but in the end, the styles I go after just don't translate on me. So this question is huge and so common. So please know that you are not alone and that nothing has gone wrong. This is fixable. It's just, this is what I mean by the mindset. When our minds get stuck on or in a groove on a certain thought, your brain doesn't want to change that thought, because our brain decides that, okay, this thought is working for her, so we're just going to keep it going because that saves energy, and our brain needs to conserve energy. It likes automation because its sole job is to keep us alive. So if you're not in danger and that thought feels like it's been working, even though you don't love the result it's creating, your brain says, this is good automation right here. We don't need to change this at all. And if you begin to start to try to change it, then your brain puts on the brakes and says, that could be really dangerous. We want to just let's keep doing it exactly this way. That's too difficult. So I understand this question because this is something that comes up with clients on a regular basis. And I have a couple of videos, I believe, where I have touched on this in the past, and it feels like it's probably time to make a new full video on this. And I am going to answer it today. So what to do when you have no idea what looks good on you, or when what you want, what you like doesn't look good on you. And this is a huge problem for me because I have next to no one to ask. I have no feedback from anyone. So first I want to say that while it can feel necessary to have the feedback, the most important part of really truly developing and owning style self-trust so that you can get dressed and shop and edit and pack for trips and know what to wear to a special occasion without needing anyone's input is just that self-trust grows so much that it doesn't matter that there's no one around to ask. You trust yourself enough that your answer is the final word. That doesn't mean it might not be fun to shop with someone, or that it's not nice to have the salesperson say, oh, that looks fantastic on you, but you don't need that outside influence because you trust yourself enough to know this is a full body yes or this is a no. So I just want to point that out, that the goal is not that we want you to have people to ask. Certainly, if it's a factor that makes you lonely, then I feel sorry, about that. And I am sorry about that. And I would like you to have someone who you could go shop with, or a salesperson who you could go chat with and have them show you some fun things and you enjoy trying them on. But the goal is not to have someone else to bounce the look off of. The goal is to have you own the decisions and know what you love on your body. So I understand that when you're starting and you feel like nothing you choose looks good on you, it seems like you want some outside help. You want someone to tell you. Super perfectionistic, which most of the clients I work with are perfectionists, as am I. And so we want someone else to tell us, and then we're like, okay, cool, I'll wear this. I literally every week have clients say to me, could you just pick? Like, can you just tell me, new clients, as we work together, clients don't ask me that anymore. But they say, can we just get rid of everything in my closet and you just tell me what to buy and where to buy it and how to wear it and I'll do that? Because it seems like if we just had a checklist, if we just had someone else tell us, that would be easier. But in this case, I would love to have you open up to the idea of, I actually don't need feedback from anybody. I can figure this out myself, because you can. The next thing I would offer is, you said I could pin all day, but in the end, the styles I go after just don't translate on me. So if you and I were working together, I would have you get really clear on why. Why don't the styles translate on you? So we want to finish that sentence. The styles I like don't translate on me because I'm too old, because I have too many curves, because I'm too tall, because I'm too short, because I have too much of a tummy, because my hips are too big. What does your brain, because the styles are not in my budget, I hear that one a lot. What does your brain say is the reason that you could pin all day, but you would end up with styles that won't work for you, that don't translate for you? Because that's part of the disconnect. Whatever you're seeing and liking, we need to then make appropriate and bring it into balance for the person and the version of you are. Maybe the styles you pin, as I said a minute ago about the pencil skirt, are all too dressy and the life that you live is very casual, and so it's just not working. So not knowing exactly why these styles aren't working for you, the most common reason I hear, hands down, no question, is either I'm too old or there's something wrong with my body. That the pictures I'm seeing on Pinterest, they work for a 22-year-old who's, 5'11" and 118 pounds, but when I put it on my body, these styles don't work. They don't translate. So the first thing, when I work with clients, we do exactly this. The first thing is, when you are using Pinterest, put in words that are going to begin to have the algorithm pull styles that will work for you more automatically. Like, having trouble today, that the algorithm is working in your favor. So whether that's mature, whether that's curvy, whether it's curvy petite, whether it's, over 70, whatever the words are that feel like it would begin to, that Pinterest would begin to return some images that don't look like a 22-year-old supermodel, because that's defeating from the beginning. Of course, none of us really look, I don't have any clients who look like 22-year-old supermodels. So we're all getting dressed kind of at a deficit if that's what we think we're supposed to be looking like. Of course, it's not going to go so well, and the looks don't translate, because that isn't what we're dealing with. But Pinterest is a huge, amazing resource with a wealth of photos and images, and it's free. So that's always where I suggest that clients start. So I would go onto Pinterest and I would type in, something that feels a little relevant. You don't have to get it right the first time. You can keep refining. And as you start pinning images, even 3 or 4 that you like, Pinterest will begin to use the algorithm to show you more that is in keeping with what you like. And there is something profound about beginning to see images on the screen that look more like your body shape and size and age than when you're looking at Pinterest and it's all, look like free people models, and you think, well, that's never going to work on my body. So it's not that Pinterest can't work for you, and it's not that we can't take something that's on a 22-year-old supermodel type body and make it work for someone who has a very different body shape and possibly is a very different age. But we need to also be looking at things that will bring kind of more aligned photos and images into our feed, and ultimately into our board, onto our board that we can pin. So in the event that you like something and then it doesn't look good on you, or you don't have any idea what looks good on you, because that's where you started. What do I do if I don't have any idea what looks good on me? I would look to what's in your closet right now. What pieces, if someone said, if I were working with you and I said, you have to please pick the 5 pieces that you feel look the best on you, that you like to wear the most, that, whatever you love about them, I want to chat about those. So do that for yourself. Pull out the 5 pieces, whether you love the color, but actually it's too snug around the middle, or the sleeves are a little too long or too short. That's fine. You can evaluate, but pull the pieces out and identify what works about them first. Get your brain on board with the fact that this color is really great on me. This fabric I really love. It doesn't show, sweating underarms. It doesn't show stains if I drip something, whatever the case is. Get really clear on what is already working, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And when clients say they don't have any idea what looks good on them, usually that's not true. They do have some idea what looks good on them, but maybe their body has changed. Maybe something about their life circumstance has changed. They looked great and they knew exactly what to wear and what looked good on them when they lived in New York City and they went to work every day. But now they live in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's hot and sunny and they don't go to work and they have no idea what looks good on them in that new circumstance. So really mine your own closet and brain for what actually does look good on you, because whether it's something that used to look good on you that you would like to reinterpret for your today body or your today lifestyle, or whether it's something that still looks good on you that might just be worn out or need to be elevated a little bit in order to be in keeping with kind of how you want to look now, there is a way to solve this without anyone else giving you the kind of the answer. And that would truly be the last thing I would want, even though I understand that you want some feedback. Because what you don't want is for someone else to be the deciding factor or to be the person and the voice that sways you. And then you end up with this wardrobe or these outfits that don't actually feel aligned with who you are. And they're not really what you want to look like either. But now you've invested money in what someone else said, whether it's a friend, who kind of is encouraging you and doing, what they believe is a kindness and a service, saying, oh yeah, buy that. But if that isn't actually aligned, then you're not going to love wearing that. So I would get really clear and really investigate and take the time to do so, because I hear the frustration in your question, but it really needs to just kind of layer by layer be peeled back. I could pin all day, but in the end, the styles I go after just don't translate on me. Why? What happens there? Is it that you're picking something that really truly needs a different body type? Is it that you're picking something that the colors just aren't good for you? Really get clear on what isn't working and begin to continue the search so that you start to find some things that do work. At this point, I would always suggest a shopping field trip where you don't have to buy anything. You just go to a store that has lots of different options and you try things on and take pictures. You can take a mirror selfie. You can have a sales associate or a friend come with you and take a picture, but start a collection of photos so that when there's no pressure to buy and later on, days later, you can be at home with the photos and look through them and really begin to evaluate, oh, wait, I actually love the shape of that top. I like the way that fit and where it hits on my body and how the neckline is. Oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that one. That one's terrible. Oh, I like that. And use your Pinterest board and kind of see what's similar. Take the Pinterest board ideas, go to the store, try on things that are similar. There is a solution here. And I have yet to work with a client where they could not wear something they wanted to wear. It just needed to be modified or tweaked, or they needed to find the version that truly worked for their body type, their budget, their age, whatever the case is. So I would love to actually be able to dig into this further with you, because I understand the frustration when you feel like you don't know what looks good on you and the things that you pin don't end up working, but you're just in the messy middle. You're just at this place where you've started this process, but you haven't taken it all the way to actually evaluate and get the answers of what does look good on you, and then building on that by putting that piece back into Pinterest. Okay, I know that cropped, kind of wider, boxier cropped sweaters with a V-neck look great on me. Outfits of those with, well, I love to wear jeans. Outfits of the, cropped wide leg, cropped chunky boxy V-neck sweaters with wide leg jeans for women in their 60s who are curvy. You will see stuff start to come back and you can begin to create a new vision. But the first most important part is to believe that it's possible, to believe that you don't need anyone else to help, and that you will find and can find pieces that work for you, that you like, that actually look good on your body. It's just a matter of expanding, kind of opening up your brain to the possibilities and believing that that is in fact possible, because I promise it is. Okay, more tea. One more, well, next question, then we have a couple more. Okay. It feels like a Monday today. I'm not sure I'm dialed in as much as I kind of hope by the end of the week, but that's all right. We're going to go with it. Thankfully, it's the weekend, and tomorrow I have pottery class again. This is pottery class number 3. Matthew and I are doing this together, and it is interesting to say the least. Okay, next question. I'm invited to a 4 p.m. semi-formal, formal wedding in early April. I always struggle with what to wear. I enjoy monochromatic outfits and have nice ivory slacks, a ribbed shell, and a boucle cropped jacket with gold buttons. Should I complete it with ivory shoes, ivory handbag, and anything else to layer? I'm open to suggestions. I appreciate everything you're sharing to help us with our closet. Thank you. My pleasure. I need to wear one more note. I need to wear support hose, so no open-toed shoes. Okay. So I love this, and I love a monochromatic outfit. The first thing I'm going to mention, just because if anyone else is thinking it, I'm just going to lead in with this. I don't know, you didn't mention whose wedding this is, so I don't know, obviously the specifics of who the wedding is. My first question would be, is there any way that all ivory is going to be problematic for the bride? I worked a lot of retail. I worked a lot of fine apparel, couture, really dressy retail. And I dressed a lot of mothers of the bride and dealt with a lot of brides. And so I just want to put that out there, because while there is a more modern, current vibe in wedding dressing and some of the old school rules no longer apply, I think there is still an underlying thread of, is all ivory or all white acceptable at a wedding? So I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying you can't wear these pieces and make them be very appropriate for a wedding guest. I just want to mention that, not knowing if it's a friend or a family or kind of what the vibe is. I would not want you to head to a wedding in all ivory and have it be in any way problematic for you. That just would ruin the event for you, and I don't want that. So that said, I think that my first thought on shoes and handbag would be gold. Since you mentioned that the jacket has gold buttons, I think it's not that you can't do ivory shoes and an ivory bag, but that feels kind of dull. Yes, it's monochromatic, but it doesn't feel like there's any personality or wow. And the bag and the shoes could be anything. They could be embroidered, they could be sequined, they could be gold, some sort of a metallic. I would say gold just because the buttons are gold and that feels like it would be nicely aligned. They could also be a color. You could do a hot pink, you could do a pale pink, you could do navy, you could do pale blue, you could do red. Like, you could do the accessories in a color that made it feel a little more fun and a little more interesting and less bridal. You don't have to do a colored shoe. You could certainly do a nude, or you could do, as I said, something just kind of simple gold. But you have a lot of room to play there, especially with an all ivory outfit. So when I say all of that, if we were working together, I would say, okay, what comes up? Like, what do you think? Is there one of those things I mentioned, one of those colors or one of those ideas that made you think, oh, yeah, that would be great. Maybe I have a great pair of little low, really low heeled pale blue slingbacks, and I love those and I can wear those. The support hose, I totally get that. I had varicose veins stripped many, many years ago. I get the support hose thing and how fabulous they feel on your legs. So I don't think that's a problem. I don't think you need in April to wear an open toe shoe, even if you're in a warm climate. So I would probably do something that doesn't have to be severely pointy, but I think a little bit of a point is going to be a little bit more elevated than something that's rounder or square. But if you have a great square shoe that's gold, there's nothing wrong with that. So that is my answer there. I think that I would make sure you try it all on together and that you try it on with the accessories so that, you're dialed in and you love it. But it sounds beautiful and it sounds like a fun event. And as far as other accessories, I think depending on whether you'll leave the jacket on all night or, for the whole event or not, you could possibly do, some necklaces, but I wouldn't want to interfere depending on the way the collar is. I would make sure that the necklaces aren't kind of going to compete with the jacket, especially if the jacket's going to stay on all evening. You could do a big, pretty pair of earrings possibly. You could do a scarf, but I don't know that you necessarily would need that. I think the handbag and the shoes would be plenty. Sounds beautiful. Have fun. Okay. Next question. This one I think this style struggle is not necessarily a real struggle, but I'm going to speak to it a little bit anyway. This one is, I have too many cute things from Quince. So do I. So do I. We are in the same boat there. And so it's certainly a little bit of a joke and a wonderful problem to have too many cute pieces from Quince. And I would offer that. I have a video from quite a while ago on style math, and it really talks about how when we have way too many clothes, way too much quantity to wear in our regular life, that can often lead to frustration and to a stuckness in our style because we're so overwhelmed by so many great pieces that the math just doesn't add up. We can't possibly wear it all in one season without changing our clothes multiple times a day, and no one probably is doing that. So having too many cute pieces from Quince, I understand, can be an issue. And I would also look to, okay, are you buying pieces you don't need? Again, I'm assuming this is just sort of a sweet comment, But if in fact you were buying pieces that you don't need, really evaluating, okay, do I need another one? What is my feeling? Why am I continuing to consume? Is it based on lack? Like, oh my gosh, what if they run out of that one? That one's my favorite. I tend to feel that way about this V-neck cashmere sweater, for instance. Understanding kind of why you have so many cute pieces from Quince, and that is not a problem. What I am facing right now, as well, now we have 9 inches of snow, so it might not be true, but as we were kind of feeling like spring was soon and we were in the 50s day after day after day, I was realizing I wanted to wear kind of the browns and the darker, drabber colors more often so that I could kind of wear through them and get them then laundered and put away for spring, leaving out the things that were more colorful. I still have all of it in my closet right now, but my brain was, already going to the, okay, well, I want to get a little more wear out of the more wintry colors before I leave the spring colors and wear those. So I don't think it's a problem to have too many cute things from Quince. I know I am sometimes afraid to open up their website because the new arrivals kind of pull me in, as they always have in all the retail I've ever worked, and certainly still in my job I do now. So just wanted to let you know that is my problem also. I'm right there with you. Okay, we have a couple more questions here. Next one. I'm missing some great, it says, I miss some great layering pieces. So I think maybe you mean I'm missing some great layering pieces. Okay. Great question, and a necessary part of dressing. Totally get it. So my first question to you, if we were working together, would be, what do you think is missing? And the reason I would ask this is because our brains usually know the answer. If you were to pretend your closet was your sister's closet or your best friend's closet or your daughter-in-law's closet, you would probably be able to go in there and say, oh, well, you're missing this. You're missing a great leather jacket. You're missing a great denim jacket. You're missing a great, cardigan. You're missing a blank. You would probably know what you were missing. So maybe you do know what you're missing, but I'm missing some great layering pieces. So why are you missing them? What are you missing and why? And when you start to question, what am I missing? If your brain comes up with, I have no idea, that's a problem. That's why I'm struggling, because I don't know what I'm missing. You could turn to Pinterest, and if you already have a Pinterest board, that would be super valuable because you probably will already see a repeated pattern or patterns there. Maybe every third picture has a V-neck cream colored sweater, like cardigan sweater. Okay, well, that's what I'm missing. I don't have one of those. Or every fourth picture has a, really broken in denim jacket. Oh, well, I don't have one of those. So if you have a Pinterest board, I would start there. That could possibly fill in the missing pieces, literally kind of show you what is actually missing from your closet. The other thing you can do is every time you get dressed and you have that thought, I'm missing some great layering pieces, what is the outfit? So take a picture of that outfit, and you don't have to necessarily do anything right that moment. But then when you're ready to solve this problem, look at those pictures. Take a look at the pictures that you took of the outfits that your brain said, I'm missing a great layering piece, and then get the layering pieces that would work with those outfits. That could be anything. It could be a great green little jacket. It could be a navy blazer. It could be lots of different cardigans. It could be some sort of a kind of a shawl drapey thing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Poncho. That's it. It could be some sort of a long duster. It could be some sort of a linen jacket. There are endless options for the layering piece, but what you want to get clear on is what are you putting them with, and, kind of what feels like it would solve the problem. Because my guess is more than you think. And then if well, Kristen, I know I would buy a leather jacket or a denim jacket. I would buy a gray cardigan. I would buy a navy blazer. Maybe you don't know where to buy them. Then I would begin to do one of those shopping field trips where you just go explore, go look, especially, and today's a good day to be talking about this because the final video in my 5-part video series, Shopping Fluency, that came out this week. Today was the last day, and it's all about mall management, which talks about how to find the shops that will work for you, the stores that will work for you in kind of this new retail world where malls don't really have much anymore. Physical stores have much less inventory. There's a huge online situation happening. Nobody likes to do returns. Watch that video, Shopping Fluency, the final one, mall management. But begin to look at, okay, where can I find these pieces? And do I want them to be knit? Do I want them to be woven? Do I want them to be mixed? Do I want them to be really simple and basic and classic and understated, like a really plain gray cardigan or a navy blazer? Or do I want the layering piece to be a statement? Do I want some sort of a floral or brocade blazer? Do I want a cardigan that's, hot pink with some sort of cool flowers or stitching on it? Get clear on what is missing when you get dressed, like what feels like it would finish the outfit, or what do you have that feels like it maybe needs to be replaced? Okay, well, I only have those cardigans that have kind of the waterfall front where it's uneven and it kind of drapes down longer than the rest of the cardigan. Those look a little dated. Like, I'm never one to say you have to get rid of that to a client ever, but that's a piece that often comes up as, should I get rid of this? Because I don't see anybody else wearing them. They kind of feels like it's dated. They are. So if that's what you have in your closet, then maybe I love this color, but this cardigan looks kind of dated. I'm going to look for a cardigan that's similar in a shape that's more modern. Similar color and vibe and texture in a shape that's more modern. So I hope that helps. It's asking yourself questions and beginning to do kind of the super sleuthing and the process of answering it for yourself, because it's hard. I get this. There are areas of my life where I get stuck and then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You know how to ask yourself the questions. You know how to do the investigating and begin to try to figure out the answer. And if someone else asked you, you probably could talk them through how to solve the problem. So begin to do that with kindness for yourself, and I bet you come up with some great layering pieces. Okay, 2 more. Let's see. This style struggle is being uptight about matching. This is so great. I'm so glad that you mentioned this. So this is a super, super common problem and struggle and comment and topic with my clients. And I think the reason for that is because women of a certain age grew up in a time when everything matched. That was the look. That was what was in style. The kind of ladies who lunch where everything was, the shoes. Let me finish that sentence. The shoes matched the blazer, matched the, belt, matched the bag, and the shirt had kind of the same colors, and we pulled one color from the shirt and made the blazer be that color. I grew up in the time when if you were in someone's wedding, you had the shoes dyed to match. That doesn't happen anymore. That's not a thing. And so when our brain grew up with this idea that everything matches, that the colors have to match, and certainly our mothers and grandmothers had this same philosophy. So, or often, many of them, not everyone, but if that's what you grew up with, then of course your brain now, in a world where things don't match as much. And a side note to the matching is things fit differently. They're not as form-fitting. They are a little looser and oversized and more relaxed. And our brain says, no, I need to have it nipped and tucked. It can't be that big. That looks sloppy, because we grew up hearing that. I understand that. So if the struggle is being uptight about matching, then the solution is kind of exposure therapy. It's kind of beginning to wear things that don't match, that your brain has some resistance to, that you can feel that discomfort come up when you get dressed and you think, oh, I can't wear that. This belt doesn't exactly match the shoes. Wear it anyway. Wear it anyway and teach your brain that it is not going to harm you. Because again, your brain, its sole job is to keep you alive. So as ridiculous as it seems that wearing a belt and shoes that don't match could be dangerous and harm you in any way, your brain doesn't know that. So your brain says, we need to keep doing it this way because it would be dangerous to change. Keeping her safe and alive is the only option. But once you try the non-matching belt and shoes and you don't die, then your brain says, oh, okay, maybe she could try that again. And the thing is, you don't have to love non-matching belts and shoes. I still have a preference for a belt and a shoe that look like they go together, that don't look like you were just digging around in your closet and put on whatever you could grab with your eyes closed. So it's not that you have to not match. It's that we want to soften it so that it doesn't become a struggle. So that the idea of being uptight, as your words, a great word, like that's exactly how most of my clients would say it. There's this tension and this tightness of, oh, what if it doesn't match? That doesn't match well enough. I think for me, working in Anthropologie kind of broke me of this, because so often things would be paired together that my old school matching brain just looked at it and thought, that does not go together. But then the more I was in that environment and I would see the women I worked with wearing these interesting combinations, and I would become a little bit braver, though I still stick pretty tight to my things, coordinate pretty well. I would realize that there's no right or wrong answer, that some women are going to go way out on one direction and pair very unusual color combinations and patterns together. And some women are always going to become more comfortable in a white t-shirt and a navy blazer and jeans. That would be me. But that doesn't mean that you want to go through the rest of your life feeling uptight about things matching. So the way to break this, again with Pinterest, you can begin to explore images you like on Pinterest and pay special attention to images and outfits where there is something askew, where something isn't as matchy-matchy as your brain says it should be, and see kind of what comes up. And you can even journal about it. Get clear on it's totally fine for things to not match. We all have these very rigid ideas. Every client I talk with, myself included, we have rules that we have learned and repeated that we just believe that that's the way it should be. And it's always interesting because I work with so many amazing women to hear what their versions of those are, whatever they are. They can be about travel. If I see someone on an airplane wearing this, it's like because they grew up with the idea that you can't wear that on the airplane. So there are all kinds of examples of where this uptightness shows up. And certainly in the things needing to match realm, I hear this a lot. So I would just begin to experiment. And if you can't bring yourself to leave the house and go to a big social gathering in something that doesn't match, just do it at home or just do it to the grocery store. Do it an hour at a time and really allow your brain and your body to be okay with the fact that something doesn't match. And look to where it comes up the most. Is it the belt and the bag and the shoes have to match? Is it that if you're wearing something that is patterned and you put it with a color that's in that pattern that they have to match exactly? Where is that coming up? I can tell you that one of the reasons I wear almost all solids, with the exception of some stripes and a couple of florals in the summer, is because everything matches. I can put on a solid pair of navy trousers with a solid colored sweater and a white t-shirt, and it works pretty much no matter what with any shoes and any belt. The reason I started to wear leopard belts was because I didn't want to have to think, does this brown and this brown? No, a leopard belt goes with brown shoes, red shoes, black shoes, white shoes. That's how it became part of my signature, because this idea of things having to match was very strong in me, but I didn't really want it to be. So I thought, well, why don't we just go with a leopard belt that will go with everything and really match nothing? So I really, truly love that comment. I don't love that you're struggling with it, but just begin to let your brain soften. Let your brain begin to get comfortable with, oh, I'm going to wear these two things and they don't match and it feels really off, but I'm going to allow it anyway. And the other thing is, you don't have to stop being someone who prefers clothing or accessories that match. What we want is to have you love your reasons for having all of your outfits match really well. Because when there's a sense of feeling uptight, that's when it doesn't feel good. So if you choose to always have things really well matched, there is nothing wrong with that. But we want to soften the language and accept the fact that that's just what you prefer, and there's nothing wrong with that, so that the uptightness isn't making it a negative. I hope that's helpful. Okay. And the last question. You guys asked good questions today. Or you ask good questions every week. All right. I'm switching teas. All right. Last question. How do I stop feeling disappointed in my outfits? This one too feels like it could be a full video. So I'm going to answer this one kind of quickly and then possibly address this in a full-length video at another time. How do I stop feeling disappointed in my outfits? So first, always, I would get curious about what feels disappointing with them. When you think, I'm feeling disappointed about this outfit, where is the disappointment? Is it that it doesn't fit the way you want it to? Is it that the quality is not what you want it to be? Is it that your body is different than what it used to be and now the outfit doesn't feel like it used to, whether it's the same pieces or different pieces, whether the fit is different because they're the same pieces and they no longer fit the same way, or whether you've purchased new pieces and you don't love them as much as you love the old pieces? Where is the disappointment? Is it that you don't really feel like you know how to put together a great outfit, that you're not sure what shapes and silhouettes actually look good together? Is it not understanding the proportion and the balance? Really get clear on, why are you feeling disappointed in your outfits? What is the disappointment from? So that's the first thing I would investigate a little bit. And then I would look to, where do you not feel disappointed? What outfits don't feel disappointing? And it's possible. I have, had clients where they will tell me pajamas. You know what, Kristen, the only time I don't feel disappointed by my outfit is when I put on my pajamas. Okay, why? We want to look to an area where you're doing something that's working well, because then we can kind of dig in and dissect and use some of that same information, some of those same thoughts and feelings and actions, and put them on the area where you're struggling. So if you said to me, well, my pajamas, that's the only area where I don't feel disappointed about, how I look when I get dressed to sleep, then we want to look at, okay, what's up with your pajamas? Are they really great pajamas? Maybe they're good quality. Maybe they match, the sets match. Maybe they fit really well, that your clothing doesn't fit you so well right now, but your pajamas actually fit really well. Maybe they're just really comfortable and soft, and maybe your clothing is kind of restrictive and itchy or stiff or something like that. We want to look at an area where it's working. Maybe all your workout clothes work. Maybe your old work clothes worked, but now you're retired, and so you're feeling like you're disappointed in your outfits because you don't really know how to make outfits for your life you live now. I want to say, as a side note, if all of this is sounding like, yes, that's exactly what I struggle with, style therapy resolves all of this. Style therapy is where we work one-on-one in real time to dig into exactly these kinds of struggles. It is not, well, here are the things that you get, and nope, sorry, if you're dealing with feeling disappointed in your outfits, we don't cover that. This mindset work is crucial. The clothing and the style and the outfits and the organization of your closet and what to pack for a trip and all of that is the fun part that gets to happen once we look at, where have you been stuck? So I would start with, where are you not disappointed in your outfits? Is there any place now or any place in your past where you weren't disappointed in your outfits, even if it's pajamas, even if it's, I always had a great bathrobe. Okay, why? Did you spend more money on a bathrobe? Did you buy it in a great color? What are the things that have been working, even if it's not right now with your daily outfits, so that you can begin to practice some of those same things, think some of those same thoughts, and have those same actions begin to change your regular outfits the same as you created whatever it was in your work or in your pajamas, so that that worked and you didn't feel disappointed in those. I hope that that is helpful. I'm going to pause for now because I know this has been a lot of questions and a lot of answers, and this will get recorded so that you can watch it either on YouTube or on Instagram. I wish that I could have each one of you who asks a question sit in front of me, sit with me, and we could really dig further into this kind of off camera and do the work, because I know how possible it is to resolve your style struggles and to get to a place where getting dressed does not cause drama, does not cause friction. It's really pretty effortless. It doesn't mean you need to change your body or your budget or your age or your lifestyle or any of that. What we need to change is your thoughts and your feelings, because that changes your actions and your outcomes, I promise. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. If you missed any of the 5-part series or all of the 5-part series that came out this week, Shopping Fluency, it is a series that truly is so near and dear to my heart. I worked in the apparel retail world for over 20 years, and I loved every minute of it. I loved going to work on Black Friday. I didn't love working the day after Christmas because that was usually all returns, but I loved working retail. I still go into stores and can feel the urge to be part of that world. I love what I do now, and I'm not going back to retail, but this series, because it's all about shopping and how to make shopping not feel like a foreign language, is just really near and dear to my heart. And if shopping is something that you struggle with, each of the 5 days deals with a core struggle and how to resolve it. There is a lot of mindset coaching in each video so that you can start at video 1 and answer the questions for yourself and do the work in real time on your own and begin to gain shopping fluency so that shopping doesn't feel so difficult. I promise. Okay, that's all I got for you today. I am going to enjoy the blue sky that I see for right now. I know it's still cold out, but at least it is sunny and I like that. I hope you have a really wonderful weekend, and I will be back next Friday with a new Q&A. So if you've got questions, you can always drop them down underneath either of these videos on Instagram or on YouTube. And also, I put the question box up every week on Instagram about 24 hours prior, and you can DM me or put the questions in the question box. Thank you very much. I hope that was helpful. It was always great to be here and to share the mindset coaching that I have found so helpful in my own life and apply it to style. Have a great day. Bye-bye.